Keir Starmer stands accused of cronyism, cash for access, sleaze and hypocrisy. There are also serious questions about whether Labour are trying to engage in a massive cover-up operation. Sir Keir's largest personal donor is a man called Lord Wahid Ali, who is also a Labour peer. He reportedly gave Starmer around £55,000, including money for new clothing and spectacles. He also gave around £10,000 to the constituency of Sue Gray's son, Liam Conlon, who is now a Labour MP. Lord Ali was then mysteriously granted a security pass for Downing Street. It's claimed he was allowed to attend political meetings there without civil servants present. Now, on Friday, Labour told the Times newspaper that Lord Ali had a security pass, but said it might be temporary. Then they said he doesn't have one anymore. Those are two different answers. One answer they don't seem to have is why he was given one at all. The Tories have now written to the Cabinet Secretary Simon Case to ask who signed off on the pass. Was it Sir Keir Starmer? Was it Sue Gray? This is the kind of thing that warrants an investigation. Now, this poses several problems for Sir Keir Starmer, because there are countless clips of him saying stuff like this.
To change Britain, we must change ourselves. We need to clean up politics. No more VIP fast lanes, no more kickbacks for colleagues, no more revolving doors between government and the companies they regulate. I will restore standards in public life with a total crackdown on cronyism.
Would Sir Keir Starmer now have to resign if it finds out there's been a little bit of cronyism? But it gets worse for Labour. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has now been reported to the Ministerial Standards Watchdog after another Labour donor was mysteriously made a director at the Treasury shortly after the election. Ian Caulfield reportedly donated £5,000 to Rachel Reeves in 2023. His appointment had to be approved by the Civil Service Commission, which was apparently not made aware of that donation. There is a good chance this will lead to an investigation into Rachel Reeves. And looking at Labour's own stance on things like this, wouldn't she have to go?
I made very clear that if any of my candidates was being investigated in relation to the Gambling Commission, I'd remove them straight away, which is what I've done. That's in a sharp contrast to Rishi Sunak, who took days and days and days before he took action. There's a wider story here about the choice at the general election next week.
But it's not just the Labour leader saying this. The Deputy Leader has said it too. Even if Mr Caulfield has now stepped into an unpaid advisory role, Angela Rayner, well, she said this in the past, hasn't she?
Well, I think he's trying to take the British public for fools. You know, he's not sorry that he clearly attended a party, knows it's against the rules. There's more than one party now. It was a contagion across the whole of Number 10 at the time, and the Prime Minister really has to accept responsibility for that.
Indeed, even if Boris Johnson was just under investigation, Angela Rayner wanted him to go. Oh, and there's also the issue of Jess Sargent, who was appointed to the supposedly impartial civil service cabinet office after endorsing Sir Keir Starmer at the general election and worked at a think tank called Labour Together. Now, according to Civil Service World, her job wasn't externally advertised. It's funny that, isn't it? Many people think Sir Keir Starmer got away with beer and Cormergate during COVID. Many people think he got away with appointing Sue Gray as his Chief of Staff, despite the fact that she was involved in the Partygate investigation into Boris Johnson. Many people think Keir Starmer got away with allegedly threatening Speaker Lindsay Hoyle to tear up the parliamentary rulebook over a vote on the Gaza ceasefire. Well, OK. Could it be these cronyism, cash for access, sleaze accusations that finally stick to the Teflon Don? Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. I'm joined by former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. We've got broadcaster and journalist Carol Malone and the former Tory Minister Paul Scully. Carol, as ever, I will start with you. Yeah, there are some very serious allegations going around here about Keir Starmer and other people at the heart of the Labour Party. Do you think this might finally bring him down or not?
I don't think it's going to bring him down, but I think it's horrendously embarrassing, 6 weeks in the job. And now, and he spent, half of his time in opposition slating the Tories for sleaze, as did Angela Rayner, as did Rachel Reeves. And now here it looks like that they're guilty of exactly the same thing. Rayner has taken 144 grand from the union since 2019. Now we find she's taken 22 grand from Wahid Ali as well, including a stay in his New York apartment, which she's put down in her expenses of £1,250. 150. I don't think so. In a luxury flat in New York, that much for 5 nights, I don't think so. So, but it's just so embarrassing for them. We've got a Prime Minister who has a bloke buying his suits and his glasses for him. Why? He's on 166 grand a year.
Well, he still trots out looking like that,
Well,
that's the real scandal.
Terrible,
that's the real scandal.
Terrible clothes. But, he's on 166 grand a year. He can buy his own clothes. Why is he getting clothes off Wahid Ali? And I want to know what influence that has brought him. We know it brought him the pass. We don't know what else. These people don't give money for nothing. There's always strings attached. And how many more of these security passes are in existence? How many more people may or may not have?
These are all very good questions. I will go to Bill for a little bit of an ROR on this first, Bill. I mean, these are really strong accusations here, and they need answers, don't they?
Well, let's just remember the last Tory government when we had real sleaze and corruption. Hold on, let me make the point.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm not shutting down the discussion, but there's no point doing that, OK, because we are where we are now, and we can't say, well, because they did something wrong, then this is all right then.
And I'm not making that point, Patrick.
All right.
I'm making the point that the scale of sleaze and corruption was way, way beyond what we're looking at here. Let's deal with the appointments. It is permissible within the ministerial rules to appoint people to posts without open competition for a limited period of time, up to 2 years. It helps any government drive their political agenda. The hypocrisy from the Tories knows no bounds. There were 400 such appointments between 2022 and 2023. David Cameron in 2010 immediately appointed 10 Tory advisers to civil service posts. What the government needs to do is to own this, be upfront about what it's doing, why it's making the appointments, and explain them very clearly.
Yeah, which it hasn't done so far.
I was just going to say, the reason this is so bad, though, was because Starmer spent half his time campaigning before the election, saying he was going to clear up sleaze. And look what he's done. He's right in the middle of it 6 weeks in.
You're talking about scale. They've only been in for 50 days. I mean, crikey, what happens after 5 years? What heights are they going to get to? Anybody always talks about new governments coming in, making an unpopular decision straight away to get them out of the way. They didn't mean this kind of unpopular decision. You've got people coming in, and as you rightly said, when Angela Rayner had her housing issue, she would have had to resign if she'd kept to the same rhetoric that she'd been using in opposition. They haven't adjusted yet from opposition into this. You talked about Jess Sargent. Not only is she in the Cabinet Office, she's actually in the Propriety and Ethics Department. That's a directorate that she's in. They know no bounds.
But Paul, how are such appointments different to the 400 your government made?
Because you don't come in, you don't just suddenly come in having given $5,000 and come in as a deputy director. You just do not need to appoint in that kind of level.
Why did Wahid Ali have a security pass?
OK, I think that one is more challenging in terms of perception, if not substance. And I think the government needs to make clear that he hasn't got a security pass now, as I understand it, but the government needs to make very quickly why he got the pass.
Exactly how wrong that pass was, because they've taken it off him at the first whiff of scandal about it. So if they had a good reason for giving it to him, they wouldn't have taken it off.
His pass has gone in. Caulfield stepped back now from that position, and Jess Sargent, there's question marks about it. If they're doing that this quickly, they know the whiff.
And also
hiring
Labour loyalists to work in the supposedly neutral civil service is against all the rules, and you know that.
It's not against the rules,
Carol. Yes, it is. I didn't say the ministerial code. I said the rules.
But these are not similar. They're not similar appointments.
The rules explicitly allow governments to appoint people without open competition to drive their political agenda.
Just so we're all clear on something, because I think this is important, because this story is going to run on. Keir Starmer is going to stand before the nation at some point tomorrow and tell us all, oh, good grief, I've looked under the bonnet of the country, and you know what, the Tories just absolutely knackered it. It's going to take me 10 years to sort this mess out. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to tell us all that. And then he's going to stop talking, and all of the questions are not going to be about anything that he's had to say there. It's going to be all about sleaze and scandal and the potential for corruption. So let's just cut this off at the pass and say, if it turns out that Wahid Ali has got a security pass for Downing Street because he bought Starmer a suit and some glasses, does Starmer have to resign?
Well, look, all the donations by Wahid Ali are open and have been declared.
So what's that about?
No. Sorry, the clothes, the rest of it,
And then he got
the funding of Labour MPs, that has been openly.
But Ian Caulfield's donation, by all accounts, was not declared to the Civil Service Commission that looks at these, the committee that looks at these kind of appointments.
Reeves doesn't get investigated for that, does she?
And so it's absolutely right that she gets investigated. In reality, I think, according to the Labour Party's own rhetoric and opposition, they should, they won't.
No.
But actually what will happen is that these names, Ian Caulfield, Jess Sargent, Wahid Ali, will be pub quiz questions. People will forget that, but the whiff will remain.
That's the case. I guess the Rachel Reeves donation will be investigated. What the outcome will be, who knows? But there is an underlying critique here. If I would make one criticism of the government, is that Keir, certainly in opposition, was often too slow in decision-making on critical issues. You can do that in opposition, you can't do it in government. And I think particularly on Ali, they need to explain why he had the past, what he was doing in Number 10, and be upfront about it.
Look at the other people who took money from Wahid Ali. David Lammy. You had Bridget Phillips in the Education Secretary. Ali gave a £1.2 million loan to someone called Siobhan McDonough. He's right into the heart of your party. He's bought his way into every aspect of your party. That's sinister. That's not right.
But you know what? This happens in terms of funding from very wealthy people under all parties. I've actually got a solution to it. It's that we move to the public funding of political parties and don't make parties rely on.
But then you ask, I can sound sympathy in lancing the boil, but then you're asking taxpayers to solve the politicians' problems. You need better politicians in the first place.
They want the perception of influence.
Yeah, I understand that.
The thing I would argue is that we, the taxpayer, are already paying for Keir Starmer's suit and glasses.
Yes, we are. Exactly.
In one way, shape or form. You shouldn't always ask the taxpayer to pick up the failings of politicians. You need better politicians in the first place.
You already have public funding of political parties through the short money. Your party is now being substantially funded through taxpayers' money through the short money. So it's not something dramatically new.
People out there don't know what short money is, but the bottom line is what they do know is what this looks like.
Yes, exactly.
And it stinks. What was the quote today? Rotting politics to the core, and that's what it looks like.
And I think short money is to fund opposition parties, and each of them the major parties get something, and that's them to fund their work because shadow cabinet don't actually get paid.
You know what I do hope happens, seriously, and I really do hope this happens, is that when Keir Starmer delivers his speech tomorrow, all of the questions afterwards are about this. Because time and time again, whenever the Conservatives stood up and tried to make an announcement on something, the follow-up questions afterwards were never about what it was that their announcement was. It was always about, whoever had pinched someone's backside in a Carlton Club thing or whatever, that kind of stuff. And it's about time that the Labour government faced up to that, I think, because he can't just swerve this. And like you said, Bill, there may well be nothing to hide. Wahid Ali as well. He's not here to defend himself. All of this stuff. But just answer it then. Answer it. Come on, answer it.
Well, look, there is going to be a press conference tomorrow, and I think you're right. There's probably going to be questions. GB News will be present at the press conference.
Probably won't come to us.
Yeah, of course he will. GB News interviewed Keir in my constituency during the general election.
Yeah, because he needed us then, and he doesn't need us now. But anyway, there we go.